These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table?
But the Steve Harvey got a point though.
Wait, I don't even think I'm mic'd up. Let me put on my mic real quick. No. And I'm gonna explain why he don't have a point. I came across this video yesterday, and it kind of blew me away. I was hoping that Brandon Tatum was gonna go a different route with this video, but he didn't. He went full on in agreeing with Steve Harvey's, in what, in my opinion, is a really unthoughtful and kind of quick-minded opinion. And I've heard this. I've heard this type of talk before, an opinion, and I've noticed a pattern. I'm not saying this about Brandon Tatum because I don't really know much about his background. I don't even know much about Steve Harvey's. But from the people that I've seen that talk like this, I notice a pattern. And this pattern is these men that have lived jacked up lives where they dogged out their women, where they dogged out ex-wives, where they dogged out ex-girlfriends. Now they get into this old age where they want to try to rectify it by doing extra, by trying to talk wise to young people, and they get it wrong. And Steve Harvey has gotten it wrong because he hasn't listened to what these young men have been saying that he's talking about. And it isn't even the young men, because what I'm consider what he's thinking about young men is like maybe late 20s, early 30s. But from what I've heard and seen about these people questioning what do women bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? They were asking that in response to what a lot of women were asking about men, and saying about men that you have to bring more to the table. That was actually what sparked, what's his name? I never can remember his name. The guy that passed away, Samuel. That was sparked back then. It was a lot of women that kept harping on what men bring to the table, and men not measuring up to women. And that sparked men to say, well, what do you bring to the table? And that's where that came from. But I'm going to let Brandon speak a little bit further. I'm going to try to find where his spot where he talk more about this.
You got to watch the whole video to find out. Steve Harvey. I tell you what, I don't agree with everything Steve Harvey says, and I think that's applicable for every single person on planet Earth. You cannot agree with everything. I don't even agree with everything that Jesus say.
What?
But I know we got to follow it.
What?
So I know that people are not going to agree with everything, because some things maybe offend you or whatever the case may be. It's irrelevant. But Steve Harvey, I think, has some of the most inquisitive statements and arguments that I've ever heard. Steve Harvey has the pulse, in my opinion, of genuineness in his expression about men, and his expression of what men are supposed to be and what they're supposed to do, not only in America but abroad, in America and abroad. But I want you to hear this clip from Steve Harvey because it's very controversial. You know, some people that I have mad respect for, my friends, they disagree with him, but I think he's on to something in the clip that he said about manhood. Roll the clip.
That's what's wrong with this generation today. These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you. What else she need?
See, that's another thing that I think a lot of people get wrong, and they keep saying women can't make anything. And she's not making this child alone. You are both coming together as a married couple, hopefully, to make a family together. She's not making a child somehow on her own and gifting it to you. You're making a child together. Your children are your legacy, as Tatum is going to bring up later. But this is something that you all are doing together. And I'm going to let him finish before I go on.
Need to slide up to the table with. What about your job? What happened to men?
Wait. He said, what else do she need to slide up to the table with? There's a lot that women need to slide up to the table with, as well as men. When you talk about bringing something to the table, nobody's talking about money. You're talking about what you bring as a full package. And if you're seeking someone for marriage, which I hope you are, as Tatum mentioned, the whole dating thing should be you doing towards with marriage as a prospect. And if you're doing so, you most definitely should be asking, what does this person bring to the table? Both sides should be asking this. If you don't ask that, that's when you end up with people wanting to divorce because you didn't know this person, because you didn't bother to vet them before you got serious with them and started to marry and thought about marriage. And there's nothing wrong with vetting. That's what asking, what do you bring to the table, is doing, is vetting to see what you bring, as in your morals, as in your faith, as in how you are with your family. All of these things is asking, what do you bring to the table? Do you know how to take care of a home? All of these things, and that's not a problem to ask. I'm gonna let him finish.
Who was supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
Yes, it is our job, but it's not solely our job. We do this in partnership with our wives. We do it in partnership with them. It is not us basically taking care of our wives and children as if she's on the level with children. We're doing it in partnership. We got two different roles, both just as important, but it's two roles. It's a partnership. We're not just there taking care of, because the wife takes care of the husband as well. It's reciprocal. Both.
That's what's wrong.
Now let me just touch on that, because I know a lot of people had a problem with the impression that Steve Harvey is saying a woman don't have to bring nothing to the table but to be able to birth kids. I don't think that's what he was alluding to.
But that's exactly what he said initially. It is. That's actually exactly what he said. He said, what else does she need to bring? She's making your children. She's creating your children. What else do you need for her to bring? That's pretty much what he said.
I think Steve Harvey was alluding to the fact that men have to be focused more on, what do you bring? What is your value as a man? You are supposed to take care of a woman.
And yes, I think that initially people, period, focus on yourself before you focus on the outside. But when you're talking about going into a marriage, you're talking about seeking someone to spend the rest of your life with and have children with. You most definitely better find out what that person brings to the table. Because if they bring nothing but the ability to bear children, then you're going to probably have an issue on your hands. And I think that's dangerous to say to a bunch of young men that, well, just worry about yourself, and that's secondary. It's not. You really need to focus on who you're marrying before you do it. A lot of people don't speak on that, but this the way Tatum and Harvey is speaking, in my opinion, is the reason why we have a family law justice system that pretty much devalues men. You only see men as valuable as the money they bring to take care of the children, and a situation where there's a divorce or whatever. They devalue them greatly, only to how much you can pay. That is why we have this sentiment. Nobody's disagreeing that, yeah, men are the protectors of our households. That has never been in question. Who questioned that? Who questioned that We are the providers. We are the ones that supposed to lead our households. I don't hear anybody questioning that. That's never come up in question. What everybody was talking about was how men were being dumped on by this new generation of women, that this independent woman group of women that are now being brought up asking, well, you need to bring more than this to the table. That was in response to that. It's never been in question by most of the men that I know of that think and feel, yeah, it's my job to take care of the house. It's my job to take care of my wife. All of those things have never been in question. And for him to speak, and even for Tatum to speak on this as if this is a question, when it's not. It's never been up for debate.
You know, let me just say this, because my wife don't have to lift a finger. But I don't need to get patted on the back because of that fact. It's that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to work so my wife don't have to work.
Another false statement. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to work so your wife don't have to work. First of all, number one of the most misconceptions that people believe that comes from the Bible is that men are supposed to work while women stay at home and basically raise children and take care of the house. That has never been the case, ever. Even in biblical times, while men worked, women also worked and had their other jobs. It wasn't a job outside of the house because nobody had a job like that back in those times. But it was work that she did. But it was all for the household. You work, the main breadwinner, excuse me, to take care of the house, to provide. But it's not so she don't have to. Where did that notion ever come from? It's you're doing your part, she does hers. It's not you do yours so she don't have to work. And I know you might say, so she don't have to work so that she can take care of the things in the house. But you shouldn't say that so she don't have to work. Because it's so that she can take care of what you guys have basically decided her role will be as part of, as the house is concerned. What her role will be, whether it's working outside of the house or taking care of the kids, is you doing your part of the work so she can do hers, so she don't have to do that. Because everybody, I guarantee, is doing something. But it's the way the speak is talking as if we work for the pleasure only of women. Well, yeah, we do work for the pleasure of our family and wives. That without a doubt, of course. But the way it's being worded and talked about, like with Steve Harvey, and I think you're missing the point just like he did. It's a family unit. It's reciprocal. And both people should be focused on taking care of each other. That's why we have these crazy, stupid statements like happy wife, happy life. Where did that come from? Don't both people have to be happy? This is why we got those bonehead statements that men keep repeating that makes no sense. Because both people, both wife and husband, need to be happy to have a household that works. It's not just if you have a house with an unhappy wife, you got an unhappy house. Yes, but trust me, if you got a household with an unhappy husband, you get an unhappy house. You can better believe that. If either one of those pieces of the household is unhappy, father or mother, you're gonna have an unhappy household. Guarantee it.
In a reasonable sense, my wife is going to take care of the kids. She's going to take care of the house. She's going to do things that wives do when a husband is working.
But see, that's the thing. Most people don't know how to balance that because there's a lot of things that my wife does more than what I do. But does that mean that I don't do those things? No. There's things that she do that would be considered man work or whatever. It's a part of the house. If we make it way too complicated, it didn't have to be. We really do. And A part of that is doing the work before you get into a marriage, and it's exactly what I'm talking about here. But I'm gonna let him finish.
Full time. I don't think Steve Harvey is challenging that point. I think what's happening to young men in this whole red pill the red pill movement and all this is that young men forget that we don't need a pat on the back all the time. When you
It's not about pat on the back, and we don't get a pat on the back half the time. For one, because we really don't need it. I can agree. We would like to be acknowledged a little bit, but we don't need it. But it's not about a pat on the back. Who's talking about that? We just don't want to be dumped on by other women dumping on men. Because if you've noticed nowadays, and I'm pretty sure you have, because I don't think you came up with Fathers Matter shirts because you thought it was a nice catchphrase. Because nowadays fathers are devalued, men as a whole are devalued, and that's what is getting people up in arms about the whole thing. But I think this is something that is being brought on us by higher powers that be in the system, whether it be politicians, whether it be the media. They're getting us at heads with each other. But it's really not that hard.
take a woman on a date, you pay for it. You don't ask the question. You don't think twice. You pay for it. And I'll be honest. If you take a woman on a date, and I'm not talking about some little hooker you trying to hook up with. I'm talking about a woman that you're interested in. And young men, you should not be dating women unless you're thinking about marrying that woman. If she's not good enough to marry, you wasting your time, bro.
See, this is where he went off into a talk where I didn't understand where it came from. Because while I agree, you should be dating with the purpose of, with the intention of marrying. If that's not what men were talking about, then we're already talking about what do you bring to the table. Because if it's just talking about dating, who cares about what you bring? I don't have a commitment to no long-term commitment to you. Only thing you need to bring is you. If we're just talking about dating, you just need to bring you and probably a pocketbook, because if all we're talking about is dating, I'm not really caring about being chivalrous, picking you up, nothing like that. All you need to bring is you. So I don't think we're talking about men that are just talking about dating here. We're clearly talking about men that are talking about dating with the intentions of or prospects of marrying. I don't understand where he got into this whole tangent, but
You ain't really going on a date. You really paying for sex. That's pretty much what you're doing. Because you want to take her here and impress her here so you can get her here. That's it. To me, I get why young men did. I did it when I was young. That's not the way you operate.
see what I'm talking
Because
about?
then you start feeling weird about, should I pay? Should I not? She taking advantage of me? Nah, man. When you see a woman that you believe is wifey material, you have an obligation, in my opinion, that you take that woman on a date, you pay for it. You go pick that woman up from her house if she allow you to pick her from her house. And I would argue, if not, you should provide her transportation to come to this date. Because you are marketing yourself as this is what I bring to the table.
See how he's saying he marketed himself as what he brings to the table. So he clearly understands that you should be showing what you bring to the table. So why can't you ask that? Why is it somehow a bad thing that you're asking? What do you bring to the table? And as far as this is what I don't understand. Maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned, but when did all this stuff come into question? Like, I'm sorry, when I went out on a date, when me and my wife were dating, I went to pick her up. We didn't show up to the venue at the same time. Do I think it's a big deal? No, but that is just something we did. When did this become a question? I don't really think it has. I really don't think it has become a question. But then again, I'm out of the loop. I have no idea what this generation is doing. I couldn't tell you. But I think he's answering a question that nobody's answering. I think he's trying to solve a problem that isn't there. Because what I see, based on what I know about what men are asking, what are women bringing to the table? What do you bring to the table? It's not what he's answering here. It's, it's not. Because here's the thing. I think we should be asking that question. Both people, man and woman, should be asking, what does this person bring to the table? You should be asking, first of all, is this person a child of God? By child of God, I mean, are you a Christian? If you're a Christian yourself, do you guys share the same values? That's a huge thing. It gives you a little bit of insight as to who you're gonna respectively be spending the rest of your life with, or even considering. Do this person want children? And I think the most important thing out of all of them, how does this person, how was this person's relationship with their family? How did they get along with their siblings? How did they get along with their parents? All of it. If they have an outstanding relationship with their family, they've had problems, but overall they have a great relationship, you got a solid person. If that person has spotted relationships where they don't talk to this sibling, or they sometimes talk to that sibling, or they don't talk to one parent but they talk to this parent, that's a troubled person. That's a person that has a problem with relationships, and you might want to steer clear of starting one with them. This is what asking, what do you bring to the table means. Does this person know how to cook? Does this person know how to clean? Do they come from a household where the parents did all the cleaning? Or do they come from a household where everybody pitched in? Do they come from a household where, do they come from a two-parent household or a one-parent household? How is this person's relationship with their father, if it's a woman? And for a man, to his mother, how was his relationship with his mother? These are things that you should be asking. This is your vetting before you get serious and marry somebody, respectively. There's nothing wrong, and I'm not understanding why there's a big deal. I'm hoping that both Tatum and Steve Harvey isn't understanding what these people are asking. I hope that's the case. And I can't understand how they can misunderstand that, because anybody that's asking, what are you bringing to the table, are not asking that because they simply are just talking about dating you with no prospects of marriage. When you ask, what do you bring to the table, it's because you have prospects of some type of long-term relationship. Or else you're not asking what you bring to the table unless you're just asking it superficially for the purposes of saying, what else you bring besides your body? Do you, but it, and from what I've been seeing and hearing, that hasn't been the case.
I don't need to measure what you bring and what I bring, and then I'm trying to, well, you don't bring a lot, so I'm not gonna bring a lot. If I'm gonna waste my time to take you on a date, or spend my time to take you on a date, I'm gonna show you what life is like marrying a man like me. I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you. I'm gonna take you to a restaurant that's within my budget.
That's all great. You should be doing this. You're speaking arguments that nobody's arguing. Yes, you should be doing that, but shouldn't a woman do the same thing for a man? And we talking about the first meeting. I'm talking about, what are you showing me outside of like the pleasantries of, you putting on your best face, because all that stuff wears. I'm talking about finding out what a person brings to the table outside of the niceties of that date, outside of the smiles and the nice grooming, and outside of the flowers, outside of the picking somebody up in a nice car. I'm talking about outside of all of that, because that stuff fades, that is superficial. And I know you're talking about something deeper than that, but I'm talking about something deeper as well that I think you all are missing. Steve Harvey is too old to not get this. But like I said, I think he was one of those people that has some bad habits, and that he trying to rectify them with trying to talk about and correct younger people behind him trying to speak on relationships, because I see he has this thing where he speaks on relationships, and I've never really agreed with a lot of the stuff he was saying. I thought he was off base with the stuff before, and I think he's off base now. I think he has good intentions. I think he wants to say something substantive, and I think he's almost there. I think he's missing it. I think he may be a little bit out of touch. I think his money has him out of touch, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm not going to demand that you drive. I will come pick you up. Some women may not be comfortable with you
Who's
coming to their
demanding
house.
that women drive?
And I would argue that you should be talking to a woman and getting to know her enough where she feel comfortable with you before y'all even go on a date. But regardless of that, make sure she get there. Open the car door for her, open the door for her, slide the seat out so she can take a seat. If you can't afford it, don't go on a date. And if you can't afford to take it to the steakhouse, then take it to somewhere where you can afford. You cover the meal. Make sure she get home safe. Be respectful. Don't try to get the draws on the first night. Respect that woman. Offer her what you can bring to the table as a man. That's what I did with my wife. I wasn't trying to, I'm not trying to hit and all this. No, I was like, man, I respect that woman enough that before I ever think about that, I need to be committed to her. I'm going to show her I'm committed. When we used to go and she used to come see me and we used to go on dates, she'd come to Arizona, I fly her to Arizona.
I'm not going to go over the whole video because he's pretty much, reiterating the same thing and keep answering questions and solving problems to a non-existent issue. Because once again, it's like I said, they're answering and solving something to an issue that's not there. Because what people are talking about is exactly what he was talking about. He created this kind of like straw man type of issue that's not there. I think what a lot of men that are asking, what do you bring to the table? We're saying it because we keep continuing to be undervalued and only being valued by our monetary value. It keep happening over and over again. You keep hearing these prominent people in the media. You keep hearing these social media talk heads. You keep hearing, all these feminists bring up the same thing. You see these people do these on the street questions, pretty much asking, do you need a man? And all these young women, no. What do I need a man for? I don't need a man for this. I don't need a man for that. You ask a man, do I need a woman? It's a different question. We have no problem with saying, yeah, I need a woman. Of course. You find very few men that say, no, I don't need no woman. I'm a straight man. But you ask a woman that same question. Do you need a man? What do I need a man for? I can do that on my own. What do I need a man for? That's what I'm talking about. It's not you. I think you got the wrong mindset from what these people are asking. Because what we're talking about is this constant like devaluing of men. Of course, we're gonna ask, yeah, what do you bring to the table? You keep asking, what do I bring to the table? What are you bringing? So for this video, I'm gonna pretty much say this. I like Brandon Tatum. I like Steve Harvey. Even though I don't agree, like he said, with everything they have to say clearly. I don't agree with everything Brandon Tatum says, especially lately. He's been a little off. I remember when he first started making videos, I thought, oh, this finally is a young black man. It's a young man that has a head on his shoulder. He's articulate. He can speak on. He's seen. He's finally waking up from the left wing brainwashing. It's like great, another black man that can speak about these issues, because I've been seeing other black men speak up and make channels. Not enough. It was spotted here and there. And I even considered it. I only started now because I'm seeing so many people I'm like, no, what are you saying? This is way off. And I should have been made my channel. I've been a conservative for a lot longer than a lot of these other black YouTube influencers. I've been a Republican since 2006. I didn't even vote for Obama either time. I was conservative back then. Back when he started running, that's when I found out about the Democrat Party. But not to trail off too much, I really do think that Tatum and Harvey missed the mark with this one. I agree wholeheartedly with what he's saying about all the things that a man should do when they're courting their prospective wife and how they should be dating with a purpose of marrying. But that was never the question. He wasn't. And if a man is asking what a woman brings, he's asking for a serious reason. Most of the time. I'm leaving out the outliers, but you know what I'm saying. And I think should have been a little bit more thought into what you put out there, because like somebody in your comments was saying, like he even alluded to, was that women are carrying your children. What else do we need to bring? And I've heard women say this, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one. I really don't care. I've been called an asshole by my sister my whole life, and it's not because I'm trying to be a butthole. It's because I speak honestly, and I speak and say things that most people wouldn't say. It may not sound nice, but I'm going to say them. And I'm going to say this. Women carry and talk about carrying children like it's a badge of honor from God. Now, it is a blessing to have children. But the act of labor and having to labor through carrying a child was a punishment. It was a punishment for disobedience. Flat out. And to say that women are making a child for you, and since and we have to hold women up to a certain esteem because they're able to carry children for 9 months, I think it's flawed. I think that is part of why we're in the position we are today as men, being devalued, because we're saying that a woman should be held on a high pedestal for something that they're not responsible for doing. They played no more of a role in getting her pregnant and even carrying a child than we did. Pregnancy is not something that she did. It's more something that happens to her. You had intercourse, you got pregnant. You're doing nothing in that process to create that child, make it grow, or anything. What you're doing in the process, what you can do to contribute into how that child grows, is eat healthy, be stress free, and all of the above. But in the same sense, the husband is supposed to help in the same way. We're supposed to make our wives' lives easier and help during the pregnancy. Make sure she has good, nutritious food to eat while she's pregnant. But these are things that women are held as like we're supposed to hold women on a pedestal for. And I think that's a wrong way of thinking. I think the thing that you hold somebody on a pedestal for is for something that they do, instead of something that they have nothing to do. It was all God, God's creation. God pretty much made that happen. Instead of praising a woman for that, how about we give them kudos for what they do after, like when the child is born. Like, what type of mother is she? That type of stuff. Not just for the simple fact that she can carry a child. Because, I'll tell you what, a lot of women can carry a child. We've seen plenty of women that are able to carry a child. And trust me, they're not worthy of any of the praise just because they're able to do something. That's like saying the man, he's worthy of praise because he sent over those XY chromosomes to that woman to help develop that. No. no, no. This is not me taking a shot at women at all, because I do think that there's women offer a very special piece to a relationship. So do men. It is both reciprocal. I don't look at what men bring. I look at what women bring because I'm on the receiving end of it. Same reason why women look at what men bring. But it's been so one-sided for so long. I think we need to stop with the one-sided type of behavior and look at it as a team. Because when you're married, you are one. It's a partnership. So it's not about me working so my wife doesn't have to. It's about us working together so that we have a functioning household. That's what it's about. I know this video is a lot longer than what I want it to be. I'm not going to finish the whole video with Tatum. I pretty much made my point with that. I wanted to say something on it because I disagreed with where he was going with it. I think he was a little off base. I get where he was coming from. I think he got good intentions. What he's saying is good, but I think he's answering the question that isn't being asked. So, with that being said, I hope most of you guys understood what I was saying. You don't have to agree, just like he said. Disagree. I welcome disagreement. Tear my response apart on this. I don't care. I could be wrong, just like I think he was wrong on this. But with that being said, I'm gonna bring this to a close. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you loved it, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Share this video with those that may find it interesting, or just share it because you find it interesting. And that's all I have to say for now.